Hey guys, welcome to this Ohio farmhouse. We are about a month away from our last frost date, which means people are itching to get into the garden. So today I want to talk about how you can get out in the garden and the things that are actually ready to be direct sown into your garden right now. There are things that can be put right into your dirt. You don't have to start them indoors. You can just take that seed and get it right into the soil. And so today I'm going to walk you through all of the things that I'm getting into my garden beds right now. We're going to work on cleaning some things out and getting them just prepped and ready for the season. And then I'm going to put a handful of things into the ground and get things growing. Now I know that I kind of come back to this chart pretty frequently, and it's because it has a pretty big impact on how I know when to plant things, what needs to go into the soil outdoors and inside for seed starting. But really basically what you do is you line up the red line that's on here with your last frost date. We're about 4 weeks away from that, and so there's quite a bit of time here for it to still go wrong. Right now our forecast is showing that we have no days in the foreseeable future that are going to dip down under freezing, but just to be safe, it's pretty much always guaranteed in Ohio that we're going to get a late frost somewhere in the mix here before we actually reach this date. So what I do then is I go through here and I'm going to list out all of the things that are listed as FP. Now FP is listed as your first outdoor planting date. So that means that all of these things that are marked as FP both in March and April are good to get started here right around this time. Things being shown on this list of being ready to plant right now are onions and potatoes, broccoli, cauliflower, spinach, a lot of lettuces. You can get radishes and beets planted. Carrots are coming up soon, but not quite yet for us. But one of the big ones that I don't want to miss out on is peas. So any kind of like snap pea, snow pea, those need to go into the ground right around now to make sure that they are thriving and in the environment that they actually prefer. If you wait too long in the season, they're going to dwindle out and die much quicker than what you would like them to. So you want to get those into the ground right away. Go ahead and get started putting some of these peas in the ground. Now the rule of thumb for depth when you plant is that you want to plant it about twice as deep as the seed is big, and so your pea is much bigger than most seeds, so that actually needs to go down a little bit. I actually had a farmer tell me once who has been gardening for years and years and years, tell me that when you're planting peas that they specifically need a little bit of compaction on top of the soil when you're planting them. So when you put them into the ground, a lot of times people will leave a very loose soil on the top. He recommended putting a little bit of pressure down and compacting some soil on top of there. He said it creates a stronger plant in the long run, and they If you've started any kind of lettuce indoors, it is time to start hardening that off and bring that outside. So I'm going to be doing that today as well. I have a little bit of lettuce that I started inside several weeks ago, and it's getting pretty decent sized at this point. So I'm going to try to get that transplanted into my gardens. But you also right now can direct sow that lettuce seed into your beds.
The stories I've been told, they never seem to leave my mind. On this road that I am on, I gotta stay here for some time.
Lettuce is going going to thrive by being planted right now. You actually can't grow lettuce very well once it gets warm out. So this is your prime time to do that. In the summer, it gets much harder to grow. I was able to grow lettuce for a good chunk of my summer last year. I think I went into about July before everything really just started bolting just much too quickly. But for a couple of months while it was warm, it was doing really great. But right now is when you want to get that started. Lettuce is an awesome one to plant because you can trim it back and it just keeps growing and producing. You can create bowls and bowls full of lettuce for your family with really small space. This is something that you could even put into a container. If you don't have a garden bed ready, you could just get a big pot and put some good soil in there, and you should be able to grow lettuce without any kind of problem. Now, you don't want to put your lettuce someplace that it's going to get lots and lots of sun. Something that gets a little bit of partial shade, I find it does really well in. I think that's part of the reason why I was able to grow my lettuce good portion of the season last year, is because it gets a decent amount of shade where it is, and so it's not just burning on those leaves all day. So get your lettuce in the ground for sure. Everything from like spinach to romaines, all of that stuff, right now is when you want to get that stuff going. I want to show you what it looks like. We use a method of gardening where we put lots of wood chips down. Part of that purpose is because it greatly reduces the amount of weeding that I have to do, and part of it is because it builds some amazing soil health. So if you take a look at this, this is just what is in my raised bed right now. This was just normal soil that we put in here, but all of those wood chips are decomposing and creating this really great, rich, dark soil. It's amazing. This is perfect for growing lettuce in. Okay, I grabbed these really colorful plant markers just off of Amazon. They were really inexpensive, and I've been able to use them for several years now. So I'm just going to use this, label the things that are going into the potager so that I know right where things are. Otherwise, I like to just map things out on paper so that I have a good sketch of where things are and I know exactly what's planted in each spot. I have that sketched inside, and so that's kind of, I'm going off of my memory right now. I think I know where I'm putting each thing for the year. But the yellow tags will stand out. I'll be able to see them really clearly and know right where things are planted. I've got my little worker bee back here. She's cleaning out the bed for me. She is the world's best garden helper. She likes to be the one that's out here doing all of the things with me. Just a little note, when you go to put your garden markers in, if you use a permanent marker, it's not so permanent outdoors. You're actually better off to use a pencil to mark on them, or if you grab on Amazon or like a garden store, they have plant markers, which are a very specific marker for the outdoors so that it will stay on. If you use a permanent marker, you're going to be really disappointed because in a short amount of time, all of the words are going to vanish and there will be nothing there to be able to read. So either grab a pencil and mark a little bit heavier on there, or grab one of those markers. Every spring we have to come out here and clean this bed out. It's underneath of this pine tree, and it sheds the most ridiculous needles, and it is so pokey. It makes for a really great cover for the winter to protect our soil, but come spring, this is impossible to work in unless we clean all these out, isn't it? It's really pokey. So we're just working on getting all of those out of here, and then we're going to start making our rows and getting lots of lettuce planted. Because the lettuce seeds are so minuscule and tiny, you're really just going to cover with a light dusting of soil over the top. They're not even really buried. You're just going to put a tiny bit, drizzle the soil over the top, and it will germinate and it will start to grow. Because we can reach our plants in this bed, we have a 4x8 bed, we can reach from every direction pretty much, and so I can really heavily plant in here. I don't have to worry about spacing and walkways and things. So this bed is really going to be packed full with lettuces, and I can easily reach that and access it from all the way around. This obviously isn't going to all get done probably in one sitting, especially because we have a lot that we need to grow here on our homestead. So Josie and I are going to be working over the next couple of days when we get time here and there between events and soccer practices and all the things that we have going on. We're going to be out here planting and getting all of these cool weather crops into the ground that really just love the colder weather. So don't wait until after the last frost date to get out into the garden and to start planting, because there is so much that can be started right now so that you can get your garden up and running and on the way for the season. Plus, it's great to get out in the garden and get your hands dirty and just feel that spring is on its way. So happy planting. I'll see you next time on This Ohio Farmhouse.